Well, my name is Patrick de Vleeshouwer, General Manager of Aspria Royal La Razade in Brussels, Belgium. And we've got the immense honor of having Bobby Cappuccio in our club here today. And we take this opportunity, Bobby, to first thank you for coming by.
Oh, my pleasure, thank you.
And of course, asking you a question. And before I ask my question, just a little feedback because, okay, we are in February, beginning of the year.
Yeah.
So in most of our clubs, we have a lot of members that signed up, or older members that came back with full of motivation, determination to say that this year, they're gonna perform better and really work on their health. And we too often see that again after a couple of weeks, that determination and motivation falls back, and it's so frustrating for them, and it's frustrating for us. So Bobby, what can we do?
Yes, that's the big dilemma, right? New Year's resolutions, you come in mid-January, you can't even get a piece of equipment, all the treadmills are taken. Then come the end of February, you could fire a cannonball straight through the facility, not hurt anyone. So what do you do about this? I think it comes down to three things. They're not really complex, they're rather simple, but they're easier said than done. Common sense is not always common practice. I think the first thing is dealing with the overriding motivation to begin with. A lot of people, and this sounds counterintuitive, they have a New Year's resolution, but they do not identify and quantify the internal motivation. So everybody wants to lose weight and get in shape, but they don't determine why. And I'm not talking about for the outcome, for the goal. The big misconception is people train to achieve goals. They don't. The goal is nothing more than a means to an end. So if I lose 5 kilos, what will be different? Will I fit into a different dress size? Will I fit into a different outfit? How will I look in that outfit? That's all well and good. But what happens when that occurs? What's the outcome? David Barton Gym in the United States talks about look better naked. If I were to look better naked, what would happen, and why is that really important to me? How would I feel if that happened? Are we talking about attracting someone? Are we talking about feeling more secure in a relationship? Getting really, really honest, not about what I want or the goal I want to achieve, but the meaning that I attach to that, and what specifically is going to be different in my life when I reach that, and if I don't reach that. What specifically is going to be painful in my life? What will I lose? And the more we can identify with the pain of not having it, the greater our chances of at least getting started. Now, pain doesn't keep us there. See, that's the thing, isn't it? You get started and you're like, oh, if I don't achieve this, if I don't go to the gym, then I'm never going to experience this, and the pain of loss is too great. But if you don't have a desire beyond that to keep you going, once the pain level starts to subside, and it always will, a lot of times we get complacent. So we have to not only identify the pain, but what's the desire behind it, what are the benefits, and then we need to go through the second component, which is crisis anticipation, which is the preparation of what likely could go wrong. Patrick, is this the first resolution you've ever set? So it's great to have you here on January 3rd, in Aspria working out. Have you ever set a New Year's resolution before? For most people, it's, well, yeah, a couple of years ago or last year, or for some people, it's yes, every year. And what happened? How'd that go? So we need to identify what went wrong in the past, and how do you know these things won't become an obstacle in the present? And if they will become an obstacle in the present, and if they were an obstacle in the past, it's very likely that they'll present the same challenge in the present. What are we going to do this time differently to make sure that an obstacle is not unavoidable? And I think what the problem with not going through crisis anticipation is we run into the same obstacle, and rather than thinking about it logically, we're in reaction. And while we're in reaction, those universal beliefs, I always fail at this, I'm not good at exercise, which really have no bearing in reality. They're just an interpretation. Our past experiences are not determinants of every future possibility, but we go into that reaction, so we're in an emotional state, usually fear, or anger at ourselves that we let the same thing happen again, and we quit the gym, and then we look back and go, you see, I told you I'm no good at this, and this never works for me. Never works, or you've never properly worked it. So finding out what can go wrong in advance is not negative thinking. It's a very important component of thinking rather than reacting, and then setting up solutions in advance so when it happens, your trainer or yourself can say, oh, well, okay, let's implement solution A to this big problem that we've identified. And then the final component is you've already determined what your motivation is. What's the fear of not having it? What's the desire that drives that goal? You've engaged in crisis anticipation. And the third thing is, how do I make this habitual, which is what we talked about out in the hall. And I think that's something that's really powerful, is taking a look at setting the long-term goal, but then stepping away from it. Because what we need to understand is when someone says 3 months from now, I'm going to look this way and my life is going to be better, I'm going to feel great. Well, if we're talking about 3 sessions per week, that's 36 sessions from now. Now, when we go to the gym, we love it. We don't even think about it. It's not something we do. It's part of who we are. To a new member or someone who's not really a consistent exerciser, I've got to leave work, right? Whether it's the middle of the day or the end of the day. So I have to now fight traffic, in Brussels, find a parking spot in Brussels, or London, or New York, or Berlin, and if I have to take public transportation now, that's even worse. So I walk through the front door, and I'm all haggard from a day of work and battling the traffic, finding a parking spot. I have to get all undressed now. Then I have to put on my exercise clothes. Now, I've not even started to work out. Now I've got to face a trainer who, I don't know whether or not I'm going to gel with their personality, but I know it's going to be painful. I'm going to have to exert myself and sweat even more and do things that I'm not good at doing, that I don't enjoy doing, I don't feel comfortable doing, in front of a lot of other people who I think are going to be really beautiful. Everyone in the club is going to look great except me. And then if I don't do it right, I get judgment, condemnation, criticism from my trainer. Now, mind you, I've not even left work yet. This is all in my head. And then I'm thinking, after the session, I have to get all undressed. So there's a lot of pain before there's payoff. Can you see a problem in developing habits? We're likely to default to, well, would you like to go to the pub? Ah, easy, sure. Don't have to get undressed, don't have to fight traffic. I walk out of work, up the street, have a pint, feel great instantly. The reward is right there. So how do we make exercise immediately rewarding and reinforcing so it doesn't drive 12 weeks of work, it just drives one session into the next? And one technique could be, when a client rocks up, before going, right, Patrick, we're just going to get started, and I go through my program design, I want to ask you a couple of things. I want to ask, one, what's your expectation of this session? What do you think is going to happen? See, because a lot of times when what we expect is very, very different from what we actually experience, that creates anxiety and fear. I need to know that straight away. Second thing I need to determine is, what are you expecting from me? And in turn, what can I expect from you? What do you expect from yourself? And another really important question is, on a 1 to 10 scale, 10 being I'm over the moon, it's like I feel like I've just won the lottery and the person of my dreams has proposed marriage to me. That's level 10. Level 1 is I would rather visit the dentist right now than feel the way I'm feeling. I've had the worst day you can imagine. I'm drained, I'm exhausted, I'm depressed because they're getting rid of people at work. So where are you? So let's say 5, middle of the road. Well, at the end of a workout, very often, if the interpersonal dynamic is great, if the workout was good, people walk out feeling a lot better than they walked in, but we as trainers don't anchor that. So the second you're done with your workout, before you go back to the locker room and start thinking about, oh, now I got to shower and get dressed, and all these thoughts about the strain of exercise come into play, the one question I'm going to ask you before you leave my fitness floor is, Patrick, on a scale from 1 to 10, remember we talked earlier, you said you were 5, where are you now? Now this is great feedback, because even if it's a 4, something went really wrong, and I need to know that. If you feel worse leaving me than you did coming in, I need to ask some questions and find out why. Otherwise, you're going to lose the habit of consistent exercise. I'm going to lose a client, the club's going to lose a member. But more often than not, that's not what happens. A 5 goes to a 7. maybe even an 8, but we never anchor that. So if you're feeling a 7, the question I'm going to ask is, wow, whoa, that's 2 points higher. Patrick, where are you off to now? Well, it could be I'm off back to the office. Well, what's the difference in terms of job-related performance between a Patrick at a level 5 and a level 7? Level 7 might be, you know what, I'm not going to be as frustrated with customers. I might make an extra sale. My income might improve. These are all very positive benefits. Or it could be, you know what, I'm going home to my family after such a long day. Well, what's the difference when you sit down to dinner at the table and you're talking to your children about what happened at school and you're a level 5 versus Patrick being a father at a level 7? Do you see what we're doing now is we're not only attaching immediate benefits, but we're attaching multiple benefits to what we just did in the gym. So exercise is not something that makes my life better 12 weeks from now. Exercise is going to make my life better 12 minutes from now or 24 minutes from now, and in multiple areas not even related to physical fitness. That's really cool. So I'm walking you out the door. Now you've left the locker room, and before you leave the club, I might ask you another question. Patrick, what is it we can do, if today's a Monday, your next session is Wednesday, what can we do Wednesday night to take this from a level 7, bring it up to a level 8? So now we set the expectation for a greater experience next time you come in. You've given me your criteria, which means you're more accountable now to cooperatively making that happen. So it's not, the onus isn't on me as the trainer to create the experience. We're going to create it together because you've given your own input. If I say it, doesn't matter. You say it, it's gospel. And now you're more likely to show up because you're invested in the next session. And if you're doing something for 12 weeks and you're enjoying it, another conversation we had is we don't know exactly how many weeks it takes to create a habit. People talk about 21 days. No research has ever said that that's magic. But what we do know is the greater the level of emotion attached to something, the quicker it develops into a habit. And once exercise is not something you do, it's who you are, it's habitual. It's like brushing your teeth at night, right? Or getting dressed in the morning. I don't have to motivate myself to do that or get really disciplined. Oh, today I'm not going to show up naked to work again. Today I'm really going to, buckle down and make it happen. No, we do it every day because it's a habit. And you get to that point, you're winning the game.
Yeah.
So let me just say 3 things. Identify the underlying emotion, crisis anticipation, and then anchoring our state.
Well, Bobby, my expectation has gone up from a 7 to a 9, so it really worked well. I thank you very much, and I hope to see you very soon again in the club.
Thanks, Patrick.
All right, cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers.